is West Dakota Fox News at 9 with Molly Martinez and meteorologist Henry Blakes. Your first news of the night starts right now on West Dakota Fox News at 9.
Following a bizarre story out of Bismarck. Good evening, I'm Molly Martinez. Over the weekend, a family says a man snatched their 7-year-old daughter only to drop her off a few blocks away. The child gave a vague description of the person who grabbed her, saying he was an older white man with white hair wearing a purple shirt and blue jeans. Daniela Hurtado spoke to the victim's father this afternoon.
A parent's worst nightmare. The child's father telling us it's been an emotional roller coaster the last several days. He says his little girl was found on 17th Street near Avenue C. He says their main focus right now is finding the man responsible for taking their youngest daughter from this very alley. A normal afternoon in sunny Bismarck when suddenly a parent's worst nightmare happened. Their child was nowhere to be found.
I ran to the backyard and didn't see her in the backyard, so I went into the garage and I started hollering around back there, and she wasn't nowhere around.
Then she was found just blocks away from her home and taken to the police department.
This guy said, "Get over here," and I said, "No."
This audio is from the interview done at the Bismarck Police Department. The child's father, Preston Weisspirit, was frustrated with officers because he thought they didn't want to start the investigation until Monday.
That mistake was completely on me because my hearing was so selective because my emotions were running high and everything.
Monday, he put out a public apology to the PD for his emotional response to the incident at hand, saying officers were actually out on the same day asking around about the incident. Police say it's an active kidnapping investigation, and the family's asking for anyone who lives near 13th Street in Rosser and 17th Street and Avenue C with surveillance cameras to check their videos from Friday afternoon so they can find any leads involving this incident. For now in Bismarck, Daniela Hurtado, West Dakota Fox News at 9.
Time now is 9:02. Let's throw it over to Kevin for some good news.
Yeah, that's right. Good news with the weather, right? You like it warm, Molly. I think we talked about that before, and today was your kind of day. Florence, and of course, our 7-day forecast a little bit later in the show.
All right, thanks, Kevin.
Yeah.
A Bismarck man has been convicted of requesting nude pictures from a 15-year-old girl, then using them to blackmail her into sex acts. Documents say 21-year-old Philip Davies had a sexual relationship with the victim, asking her to send him nude pictures. Davies then threatened to send those pictures to her classmates if she didn't perform sex acts. He was found guilty on 4 of the 5 charges, including possession of certain materials prohibited, corruption of a minor, sexual imposition, and luring of minors by computer. Well, there's a new charge for the man accused of holding a woman against her will for 4 days in Mandan last month. 28-year-old Charles Hale was ordered to have no contact with the victim, but on Friday, police found the 25-year-old woman at his home suffering injuries. They say Hale already violated his protection order once and had just been released from jail last week after pleading guilty to the charge. He's now being held on $5,000 bond. Fargo police say charges have been dropped in a hotel stabbing over the weekend. Saturday morning, police were called to the American Hotel to reports of a man walking around the hallways with a gun. Officers say 23-year-old Jacob Dirks and another man went to the hotel to rob someone. They say a fight broke out and 22-year-old Alan Bear stabbed Dirks with a knife. Dirks later died of his injuries, but investigators say that it wasn't murder, it was self-defense. A judge has set a bond at $100,000 for a Grand Forks man accused of killing a 5-month-old girl. Mason Matthew Kombrowski is charged with double-A felony for the murder of his girlfriend's baby. It happened in Grand Forks on May 21st. The autopsy report shows the death is a homicide and that the baby died from traumatic brain injuries the next day. A Divide County woman is in jail after a fatal accident Friday afternoon. The Divide County Sheriff's Department says 27-year-old Kayla Marie Kane was driving a pickup truck with a male passenger riding in the tailgate when she sped over railroad tracks. The man was ejected from the truck and killed instantly. Kane admitted to law enforcement she had been drinking and failed a field sobriety test. She faces charges of negligent homicide and criminal vehicular manslaughter. Today marks World Suicide Prevention Day, which is especially pertinent here in North Dakota. Suicide rates jumped by 58% in our state from 1999 to 2016, which is the largest increase in the country. Joseph Oho has more.
Chief Yankee and the many first responders on hand at the statewide summit held today know all too well about suicide calls.
Yeah, it's a reality of what we face nearly daily basis of people threatening to commit suicide or actually, unfortunately, committing suicides.
And because Senator Heidi Heitkamp put together the summit to help reduce the number of deaths by suicide, several caregivers and first responders felt this makes a big difference because now those contemplating suicide can have better conversation with responders to get them the help they need.
And we are losing people too young. We're losing some of our grandpas and grandmas. It cuts across all socioeconomic lines. It cuts across gender.
Having a strategy to tackle the issue of suicide is what Heitkamp stresses. And she says that by better understanding the science and early identification signs, it will remove the stigma and help the public crisis in the state.
I think that we're woefully short in behavior and mental health services. And that's going to continue until we make an absolute commitment to changing outcomes.
One point brought up throughout the summit was how suicide can be thought about at any age.
One of the things that happens in the brain, or we believe, is that people become increasingly focused and they lose the perspective to be able to say, but there's good reasons to stay alive.
And for parents who want to help their kids cope with anxiety and depression, which normally leads to suicide,
watching for any change in their day-to-day functioning, has their hygiene or eating or sleeping routines changed, and if so, monitoring that.
Bill Burns, director of the Counseling Center at NDSU, says between October and November, their resources are more needed on campus for students. And while there are crisis hours and a 24-hour counselor on call for suicide assistance, he and Heitkamp believe that the fight must continue if we want to see change in our communities.
Bismarck-Burley Public Health plans to start giving flu shots next month after vaccine supplies come in. Last year, there were more than 8,400 flu cases in the state and 31 deaths. I'm sorry, that's nationwide. Experts are expecting lower numbers this year as long as people get the flu shot.
The more people that are vaccinated, the better, as it'll help the community overall be more protected. So it's really important for adults, older adults, children, pregnant women.
For more information or to schedule an appointment, call Bismarck-Burley Public Health at 701-355-1540. A North Dakota Department of Health report shows there have been more than 100 cases of West Nile virus in the state, which is the highest total since 2013 when there were 127. Burley County has the most in the state with 46 cases, and half of North Dakota counties have confirmed a human case. And mosquitoes are going to stick around a little bit longer.
Unfortunately, you can get West Nile or mosquitoes are around until the first hard frost of the year, so it's kind of hard to predict when that's going to happen with North Dakota weather, but you just want to be vigilant outside until that hard frost comes.
Well, it's not all bad news. 32 hospitalizations is about normal for the amount of cases that they've had, and there have been no fatalities. The state's 2 medical marijuana manufacturers are moving forward with building their facilities. The Bismarck manufacturing facility is owned by Pure Dakota LLC. David Meyer, the listed owner for Pure Dakota LLC, was investigated by the EPA in 2016 for improperly using rosol poison on his land. Medical marijuana director Jason Wall says the building must be up to code before they can move forward. Wall is still hopeful the products will be available by the end of the year. Visitors had a chance to check out a newly remodeled and expanded Horizon Middle School today. There's a new gym, orchestra room, and team areas for 7th and 8th graders. The principal says it's all about meeting need.
The kids love the new spaces, they love the new furniture, and of course we've been trying to equip all of our other spaces with new furniture and flexible seating as well. So it's been going really great to be able to spread out a little bit.
The school can now hold 1,200 students. Also at Horizon today, retired astronaut Steve Swanson encouraged students to chase their dreams and get involved in science, technology, engineering, and math. He worked for our NASA and spent almost 200 days in space.
We're trying to inspire students to live out their dreams a little bit too, and also get involved in STEM activities. I think that's very nice to show them that it can be really fun and creative process to do things in the science and the math areas.
Swanson is a panel member at tomorrow's Disrupt Well Summit, a conference on the future of technology, healthcare, and more. Over 100 North Dakotans head to D.C. this week to participate in the National Farmers Union's legislative fly-in. With the current farm bill set to expire September 30th, getting a new one passed is a top priority. They will be advocating for strong crop insurance and safety net programs to be included in the bill. Today, North Dakota is arguing a case in a federal appeals court to overturn a ruling regarding how voter identification laws affect Native Americans. A U.S. district judge agreed to expand the proof of identity Native Americans can use for state elections and ordered to eliminate a required residential address, which sometimes are not assigned on reservations. The Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa sued the state 2 years ago, saying the ID requirements discriminated against Native Americans. Tomorrow marks 17 years since the 9/11 terror attacks. Yesterday in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, a service was held to honor the memory of the 40 people who were killed on United Flight 93. A unique memorial now stands at the site of the tragedy called the Tower of Voices. It serves as a reminder to the heroism of the 40 passengers and the crew who brought that flight down before it reached the Capitol. Longtime CBS chief executive Les Moonves is out. His ousting comes amid allegations of sexual harassment and misconduct. Moonves has admitted he may have made some women uncomfortable, but insists that ultimately he respected the no means no. On a possible settlement, he stands to earn upwards of $100 million on his way out. Today, National Security Advisor John Bolton took aim at the International Criminal Court. The ICC wants to investigate alleged war crimes involving the U.S. military. Bolton saying the U.S. will use, quote, any means necessary to defend the U.S. and its allies.
The United States will use any means necessary to protect our citizens and those of our allies from unjust prosecution by this illegitimate court. We will not cooperate with the ICC. We will provide no assistance to the ICC. And we certainly will not join the ICC.
The ICC issued a statement declaring its acts within the guidelines of its founding treaty. More than 36 new immigration judges were sworn in today, the largest and most active class of immigration judges ever. Attorney General Jeff Sessions tells them it's their job to, quote, restore the rule of law to the immigration system.
Asylum was never meant to provide escape from all the problems, even serious problems, that people face every day around the world. Indeed, Americans face serious problems every day, too.
Sessions said more judges will be added by the end of the year. Governors along the East Coast are declaring states of emergency as Hurricane Florence barrels towards land. The threat of catastrophic flooding looms as the Category 4 storm approaches.
We are preparing for the potential of historic, catastrophic, and life-threatening flooding in Maryland. Moments ago, I authorized an executive order declaring a state of emergency in Maryland in anticipation of Hurricane Florence.
This is a very dangerous hurricane, but we are not going to gamble with the lives of the people of South Carolina, not a one.
The coastal states will continue to make preparations and monitor the storm as it is expected to hit later this week. More on that now. Meteorologist Kevin Lawrence.
So many people being evacuated, mandatory evacuations, I think over 1 million now. And if you choose to stay behind, nobody can really make you go, right? But they're not going to come and get you. And it's going to be a bad situation. I mean, this is still several days away. Really, Thursday morning is when the greatest impacts will be felt. But this could be one of the worst storms ever in North Carolina history if it remains on track. Right now, it's a Category 4, and it's a strong one at that. 140 miles sustained winds. This is well out there in the Atlantic, southeastern Bermuda. It's got a lot of ocean, a lot of unturned ocean water to travel over yet. Warm conditions, and it's still going to be a Category 4. Thursday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern Daylight Time. Again, with winds of 140 miles per hour. Wilmington could be the epicenter of the storm the way it looks right now. It's not so much the winds that should be focused on, it's the severe inland freshwater flooding. We're talking 20 to maybe 40 inches of rain, and when you talk about the orographic lift, there's a lot of higher hills in North Carolina. This could be an epic flash flooding situation. I hope everybody heeds the advice. Don't stay behind. Here.
A pack of very chill surfing dogs got to hang 10 yesterday in California. More than 70 dogs got to show off their skills on the waves. The event is in its 13th year, highlighting some of man's best friends, best tricks. 100% of the proceeds go to the Surf-a-thon benefit for the Helen Woodward Animal Center for Orphan Pets. Okay, over now to the man of the hour. Meteorologist Kevin Lawrence.
Yeah, those dogs having fun, weren't they?
I was trying to think of a dog pun like Surf's Pup.
So was I, yeah.
I
Came up empty-handed,
Yeah.
right? All right, well, here we are with our pinpoint radar. And again, Divide County. Hey, there's even a couple flashes of lightning. Nothing severe right now, but we'll keep an eye on it as the storms are drifting into Canada.
Hey, have a great night, and we will see you tomorrow.